What could go wrong when hooking up case cables?
Hi, I'm Paul, this is Diane, and we are the PC Zombies, and last time on this high-end build we hooked up the power cables from the power supply to the motherboard. This time we're going to hook up the case cables, and this time we're going to show you some common problems you'll run into and some neat tricks that can solve them, because sometimes they're very hard to solve.
What unique problems would you have based on the case you picked?
Well, in our case we picked the Phanteks NV7. It's an awesome case, but it does pose some unique problems, so I'm going to show you some of that. But the first thing you always do is you prep your case. Now we've already prepped it because we were doing the power cables last time. So we took off the top, we took off the back door, we took off the glass here and the glass in the front. We took off, there's actually a back panel here too, so all this gets hidden when it's all done. We also took off 2 RGB strips from the front so that we could get access around the motherboard. Those are going to pose some problems because every time we put in a cable, we have to make sure it can get past that RGB strip. The next thing you need to do is to find your channels where your cables can be routed. In this case, this whole channel all the way down here is an awesome way to get cables up and down the case. These next thing after that is look for little ties and stuff. These little straps here, you undo it like this, you pull it around that little loop, you put your cable in front of it, and then you can reattach it, and you can do all that with one hand. That's pretty cool, huh, Di?
Yeah, it is.
There's also these cubby holes, Di, and inside the cubby hole you could put cables, you could put components, there's all kinds of things you could do. Hey, but by the way, you know what these 2 poles are? Most people don't know this.
No.
These are for cable management. Suppose you got a really long cable, like let's take this cable here, and let's say that it's gonna plug in right here. Well, it's this far too long. So what I could do is I can route part of the cable back into here, put it around one of these poles, bring it back, and now it's just the right length to plug in right here.
Oh, I love that.
So that's a form of cable management. The other thing you need to look for when you're looking at the cable channels is where do you get from this side of the case to that side of the case? Because the cable often comes out over here, it needs to come back out on the other side. Well, if it's the bottom of the motherboard you're going to, there's 3 holes right here. If it's the top of the motherboard, there's 2 holes, one here and one here. And if it's the side of the motherboard, there's a grommet protected hole here and here. We've already used the top one for 2 cables coming from the power supply. Now let's go to the other side. These at the bottom are the 3 holes I was showing that come to the other side. These are the grommets I was showing that go to the other side. And these are the 2 holes that I showed that goes to the top of the motherboard. Most of your cables are going to hook up to the bottom of the motherboard. These are called headers. Each one takes a different kind of cable. Sometimes there's a missing pin, and that's intentional to make sure that you don't hook up the wrong cable to the wrong header. They're called headers because they are pins. The cables themselves have the holes those pins go into. That way you don't bend a pin with the connector. You can only bend a pin on the motherboard. Another problem unique to this case is these RGB panels. This is like a light that you could have, and when you put it in, it has to kind of fit through these cables. So these cables need to come out and bend safely so that they don't put too much of a crimp on the cable. The one over here is even more challenging because it goes in so far that it's really hard to get these cables all in. But the nice thing about this one, Di, you can put it in like this as well.
Oh,
and if
cool.
you do it like this, you don't have to bend the cables as much. So it's worth knowing these tricks. Another thing with this case, Di, is there's some connectors that are in the front of the case that you can actually move to the back of the case. This has the audio, USB-C, and a couple of USB ports. This whole panel can be moved to the back of the case in the exact same spot, but on the back, by removing these 2 screws up here. And then move it all the way to the other side. If you move it to the other side, the length of those cables are going to be stretched a little bit further to get over here. So their routes are going to change to the components they need to hook up to. The last thing, Di, is this RGB connector that we've already put that cable in. You want to find out these problems early on so you know you have to hook up that cable. And in this case, I wanted to control the RGB from the motherboard. Now I can. Stick around. We're getting real close to Hello World on this. Please subscribe.
We like those likes.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.